Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, The Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Sunday, September 18th, 2022. If I told you there is just 12 days left till October, think about that for a second. 12 days. October 1st, less than 2 weeks away. In come the pumpkins, in come the Halloween stuff. It's just amazing how quick time flies. And if you're on the sidelines, it passes you by in a blink of an eye. Yesterday, okay, let's start this way. What ECSI is trying to do is to create as much good. The word good is the key word here. If not great content on a weekly basis. It's almost like a crescendo where we lead up to the weekend. And so all our guests and co-hosts are experts in their field. We don't bring on clowns. I save that for the circus. I save that for some of the other platforms. It's just blah, blah, blah. It's just put the cotton in the ears. And what we try to do here is be consistent, okay? We have been in these lanes for almost 7 full years now. January 1st, 2023 will be the start of our 8th year. Think about that for a second. We have been in gambling Twitter spaces longer than 95.9% of them. We're one of the OGs here. So what we try to do is be consistent, bring in the experts that know what the hell they're talking about, not just blowing smoke up our rear ends here. And so as the week progresses, if you are listening, if you have your notifications on, you might catch some nuggets on a Tuesday from Julian Edlow from DraftKings. You might catch a nugget or two on Wednesday from Andrew McGinnis of Wager Talk and McGinnis Picks. You might catch a few nuggets with myself, Scotty, and Mr. Lucky on Friday afternoon. Throughout the week at the closing bell with myself and Riley, or if we decide to do a breakfast bankroll, or on Thursday or Friday with Riley and the Big Ten preview. Now, I hate, and I froze there, I apologize. I hate to leave winners on the desk, but it's just part of the business. We believe in quality, not quantity. So we went into yesterday 4-1 for the week. 4-1 for the week. So going into Saturday, we had only played 5 games and went 4-1. Yesterday we went 2-2, and I left a boatload of winners on the desk, and I'm a little salty. My eyes have been spot on, and as when I bring Riley on, I'm just going to go through a handful of these, and it was in the Big Ten. My eyes were spot on yesterday, and the 2-2. The real kick in the nuts is this: is we started the day with the South Carolina team total over 14, and DraftKings it was 14.5. We got it at 14. I mean, we know the Georgia defense from last year and this year they had allowed 3 points. They were begging you to take the under, and Rattler moved the ball in the first half, and a couple interceptions, a couple turnovers, and then they get the late one there, so that landed on 7. So that left my Toledo team total over 14.5. Against Ohio State, that they basically got 14 points in the first blink of an eye. And my Ohio State team total that goes blowing over, my Tennessee team total that goes blowing over. So, anyways, we started the day 0-1, and then Wake Forest sleptwalk in the first quarter. They sleptwalk in the third quarter. They decided to kick it in overdrive. Here's the kick in the nuts. We had their team total over 40. They take a 37-30 lead late. Here comes Liberty and ties it. Well, 37-36 with a minute and 11 to go. So what's the coach do? Goes for damn two. And he didn't get it. So it lands 37-36. So now we're 0-2. Now I am seething. I'm seething. NC State minus 6.5 first half, 21-7 there. And then I thought, and Riley knows this, I talked about this all day, all week. I suck at totals. You know that. I know that. We all know that. That Michigan State-Washington game screamed over to me. It looked way too high, and we get to that in the fourth quarter. But let's bring Riley on. We're going to break down some Big Ten, his thoughts after this past weekend. We're going to break down what he saw in the college overall, and then we're going to get to the NFL. So without further ado, SouthSide Riley. What is up, my brother?
Happy Sunday, my friend. It's been a while since we've had a Sunday. Weren't here last week for NFL, so I am absolutely juiced. Haven't gotten much of my thoughts out yet for this week's action, so I'm pumped up, man. But yeah, Big Ten, we were pretty spot on with our Friday show. I left some on the board, but I did take a handful to the house for us. I went 3-1 yesterday on Big Ten picks. The Purdue game was the only one that I fell flat on my face. It was that one. At the same time, I had Western Kentucky catching the points as well, both of them at the same time. And Western Kentucky was flirting around with blowing a cover in overtime. So I was sweating pretty hard there. And I took the Toledo team total to the house. I had that one, and then I know you were mad you missed out on Penn State, and I took that one as well. So I left that one on the desk. They go 27-0. They get that win. The Maryland SMU game was really exciting. I kind of labeled that one as a popcorn game. It was definitely a popcorn game there. Minnesota 49-7. I was interested in some type of Minnesota action, but left that one out. They're looking really solid right now. So I think the only one that we might have whiffed on, and it was the one that we spent the least amount of time on. Well, we didn't have Southern Illinois beating Northwestern. So my preseason thoughts of talking up Northwestern might be looking a little ugly, even despite the Nebraska win over there. But and obviously Nebraska gets smoked from about the second quarter on by Oklahoma over there. So it was an exciting day of college football. Had some winners elsewhere on the slate as well outside of the Big Ten. So can't complain. But it was a fun Big Ten day for me over here.
You know, it's funny because there's certain situations. Now, I read the market, and that's what I do around the clock. And there's just certain numbers that open up. And I always talk about trusting the opening number. Don't follow what the public does. Yeah, you'll get some sharp action in, and you guys can follow Gambling Twitter and whoever you guys follow and websites or whatever podcasts and listen and just try to gather information. I try to tell everyone to be a sponge. I talked about the fact that we all know SEC is a lightning rod. We know they're the best conference in the land. We know that hand down. Yet Penn State opened up a favorite at Auburn. What was the public trendy dog yesterday? It was Auburn. Right. And Penn State goes box to wire there. We saw the move on Michigan State. Now, again, you can't believe in rankings, but it's kind of comical. Again, Michigan State ranked 11th in the country, yet Washington opened up 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. I went with the over there, and Michigan State twice got stopped on the one, which I was cursing and seething, but they get the over there. The Purdue, I like to say right side, wrong result. Again, mistakes by Purdue. They were dominating that game. What the hell that quarterback was thinking on that, whatever, when you take the damn sack and move on. Right. And perfect throw. It looked like Donovan McNabb over there. That was a perfect throw by the Syracuse quarterback. But Your take from week, what was it, 4 now? Shockers, surprise, 3.
Unless you count week 0, then it's
Yeah, I
yeah,
count
yeah,
week
yeah.
0. Okay, so let's
Fair
go
enough.
week
Fair enough.
3. Get that
Okay.
damn week 0
Yeah,
out of
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Week 3.
Fair
Okay.
enough. Fair enough.
Uh, we know Georgia's for real.
Ugh.
Bama again didn't play anyone. What's your take on the overall what you saw yesterday? Surprises, teams in trouble. I mean, I know A&M almost gave up the back door there. It was a must-win for Jimbo.
Yeah.
There's some teams that are out there that are for real. I guess I guess where I'm going again. They didn't play anyone.
Yeah.
UConn. But Michigan is just, they're going to have a date in a couple of weeks with Penn State.
Right.
What's your take overall from this past week?
I think this past week was a bigger that's why I was so excited for the Big Ten, because there was a lot of these teams that aren't maybe either they're Penn State kind of cracking into the top 25, or like Michigan State was. It wasn't really a big week for the top 10 teams, right? Kind of how as you're alluding to right there, and it's kind of tough to gauge those. Really, the one team that had the biggest scare that I think was the highest ranked was Arkansas, flirting with Missouri State in Arkansas. So I was watching that one a little bit, and maybe they're a little overranked. Maybe it was just a sleepwalking day. They thought they had that one in the bag. But, I don't think there's a ton of conclusions. I'm just trying to look through and see if I'm drawing a blank on anything. I don't think there's a ton of conclusions to draw off of any of the top 10 teams from yesterday. Ole Miss, I guess, looked pretty solid. I think, was it you that tweeted Georgia Tech and Colorado need to get together for a worst Power 5 matchup there? So, it was, like I said, that's why I was excited about yesterday's Big Ten action, because there's a lot of teams in the middle of the Big Ten that you're going to find out more about. So, Michigan State gets Minnesota next week. That's going to be another big test for both of those teams to see where they're at. So, not a ton of conclusions to draw other than, like you said, Georgia looks amazing again. We'll see as they get deeper into their conference play, are they the same team last year? Are they just a defensive factory where anyone they put in is going to look like they're an NFL-ready player, which it kind of seems like it is right now. So, you mentioned Alabama. I looked through, and I didn't even realize Alabama had a game. That's, how easy their game they had yesterday was. So, not anything crazy to draw. You said it, Texas A&M had to win, and they did. So I expect them to have still some success this season. But nothing crazy to draw from this week. I'm sure as we get into next week, we'll have some legit conference matchups. Clemson gets Wake Forest, as you mentioned. Clemson looked fine from what I saw, but their defense wasn't totally stingy against, I think it was Louisiana Tech. So Florida, Tennessee, Florida flirting around with South Florida a little bit yesterday as well. So going to have some interesting matchups next week, and I think, we'll have some teams that we deem as for real, teams that we don't deem as for real anymore based off of what we see the next couple of weeks. So should be an exciting week next week. Got some big matchups coming up for conference play next week.
And good morning to Marty. Roll Tide as you roll along. He brought up what a finish on the Appalachian State game.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I didn't see it live. I saw all the, I guess maybe that one was in the morning. I don't know. I had my nephew's birthday party in the afternoon, so I watched the early games and the late games. But, that one, the scene there, a lot of people were interested in Troy after the letdown. And, another one, right side, wrong result on that one, or at least for the money line, obviously. I'm sure Troy probably ended up handling the cover there. But, that one, that's one. I don't know if we've seen a Hail Mary yet to that type of effect where it goes a little bit short and the guy catches it and then wheels around the entire pile for the end zone. So good on them. That was an exciting one for sure.
All right, let's change gears. NFL Week 2 for fantasy players. A lot of guys out. I have 8 teams to manage in the NFFC, the highway. Most of them the high stakes, and we drafted for basically the month of August from a bunch of different spots. So if you're picking up front, your team looks different than if you're picking up back, especially in the NFFC where you have the third round reversal, which goes 1 to 12, 12 to 24, and then back 12 to 1, and then it's regular snake drive. Yes, Marty, Kamara is out. The funny thing about fantasy is you used to have to wait till Sunday at 11:15 and go on to the NFL game day or wherever you watched your pregame, and you're waiting for the inactives. Now Shefty gets the inactives early on Saturday night, so he helps us out. But a couple kicking the nuts. Pittman for Indianapolis is out, and Alec Pierce was already out. So if anyone has Paris Campbell, move him into your lineup because he goes to number one. I was thinking, and I don't know, I don't have the prop market in front of me, what the price tag is for a Mo Alley Cox anytime touchdown today. I think that could be sneaky there. Yes, Marty, Paris Campbell is your wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts that you want to plug and play in today. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mo Alley Cox, I see plus 470 on one of these apps over here. 470.
That's my sleeper of the day, peeps. Anyone watching here? Mo Alley Cox, anytime touchdown, plus 470. Mark that one up there.
I love it.
Alvin Kamara out. Ingram questionable. I think he's going to try to limp through there. And then they have no one back there. So that's going to be interesting there. Another big kick in the nuts is the Bills play tomorrow night. And Gabe Davis twists his ankle or something yesterday. Now is a question mark. So if you are banking on Gabe, there are two games tomorrow. You have the Eagles playing the Vikings, and you have Tennessee at Buffalo. So if you are banking on Gabe Davis, you better have someone on one of those four teams to make sure you have to cover. For me, I have Miles Sanders, so I have Gabe Davis in all my flex spots. If he doesn't go, I do have Gabe Davis with the Miles Sanders, and I also have Osgood from Minnesota. Marty, what about Taysom Hill? If you want my honest 2 cents, I hate the bastard. I never draft him. He's a pain in my ass.
Yeah.
Sean Payton left the building. Drew Brees left the building. Taysom Hill didn't. They should have taken him with him. If you got Taysom Hill, you might as well play him somewhere because he's gonna touch the ball. But I just despise that guy there.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on a little fantasy? I don't know if you're a big fantasy guy or no. Go ahead.
100%. No, I am. I was going to ask you, so I'm looking at my own. Going to get your opinion because I was feeling pretty damn good about my running back situation coming into last week. Lost Elijah Mitchell in the middle of that Bears and Niners game. That one hurt me, and then was feeling even better about Travis Etienne in Jacksonville's lineup. And then my guy James Robinson looks like he has no injury issues whatsoever, and he looks like he's about to be the bell cow again. So I'm interested in your thoughts. It's PPR league. Travis Etienne is one option. Dobbins is out. He's not an option right now. Tony Pollard, which I'm probably going to leave him on the shelf there for a minute. Melvin Gordon, Breece Hall, and Rex Burkhead. So Etienne, Melvin Gordon, Breece Hall, and Rex Burkhead. PPR options.
Do you need one or two?
Just one. Saquon is my other. Saquon is my RB1.
Oh, Etienne all day. Etienne.
Okay.
2 touchdowns, 1 dropped and 1 bad throw. So I was also shocked at how much James Robinson got in there and how healthy he looked. But Etienne should have had 2 touchdowns. Obviously, you're going to plug and play Barkley, and Etienne's your guy. Etienne's definitely your guy.
That's where I was going because I was watching that game quite a bit, and when he had the ball, he looked really good. So I imagine they're going to force him, find a way to get him the ball a little bit more. But James Robinson, it's hard to be mad for me. He's from my home area. He's a fellow Illinois State alum, so it's hard for me to be mad when, as a fantasy owner, even when I see that of Travis Etienne. But you mentioned all the guys that might be out. Allen Lazard, it does sound like he's going to be back for the Packers. I don't know that I would go ahead and, obviously if you're limited, then maybe go ahead. But I don't think that's going to be – maybe I'm surprised, but it would be a wait and see for me. I could see him being a lot more involved in the run blocking game. I'm not saying he can't have a nice night, can't catch a touchdown, but I'd be more of a wait and see from a fantasy production standpoint from him. I guess sticking with the Packers, I mean, Robert Tonyan – I'm drawing a blank on the numbers, but didn't have a ton of snap counts. But when he was out there, he was pretty productive. I think the snap count is going to go up. And so you and I talked about him. I've got him on one of my teams. And if you don't have any of those top 5, 6 guys, then I think Robert Tonyan is an awesome option going forward for the Packers there. But trying to think, what about What about these Cowboys receivers without Dak? Any faith in any of them? Are they going to force the hand to CeeDee Lamb and try and get him involved some way, somehow? I mean, what I saw, what was it? He had how many targets? 11 targets, 2 catches last week. So any faith in anyone on the Cowboys offense in general, whether it's receivers or running backs?
It's funny. I'm in a couple tough spots. Actually, one real tough spot where I have CeeDee Lamb. I had a CeeDee Lamb Diggs team. I picked from the back and I started that. And then I have, this is off of the top of my head, I think it's Gabe Davis and I have Renfro. I have solid core. And here's the funny, I have a go-to guy, Sean Childs, who's my best buddy for 40 years. He writes for SI. He does all their baseball and football fantasy projections, and those are the projections that we use here. Without him, I wouldn't have won 2 national titles in 2017 at the NFFC. First person and only person ever to do that, by the way. I like to say that every once.
Hell yeah. No, of course.
So I have CeeDee Lamb or Paris Campbell. And, and so I was taught a long, long time ago in this business, you stick with your studs. And so as much as I want to move Paris Campbell in for CeeDee Lamb, I have to leave CeeDee Lamb in there. It was like this way back in the day when you had your stud wide receivers going up against Revis Island. That was the one time you had to decide, am I playing Megatron or am I not playing Megatron? Some of the other big wide receivers back in that day, because that's the only guy that you would not play them for. So you gotta write. The funny thing is I don't play in trade leagues. So we have a waiver wire. You have $1,000, and once you're out of $1,000, that's it. So the comical part in trade leagues is you draft a team in August or you draft them on Labor Day weekend and you're already making trades. If you drafted these players, you believe in these players. So other than these major injuries, it's only week 2. You got to stick and stay. You got to let this play out for 3 or 4 weeks and then go from there.
Yeah, 100% with you. I mean, especially 11 2 catches on 11 targets. The 2 catches obviously concerning, but when he's getting 11 targets, then you have to imagine he's going to force a hand. I'll shift to a different question there. Your buddy Marty's got some questions. Trey Lance bounce back? I compared to last week, I would say yes. I don't know what your thoughts are on if he's a startable quarterback or not. I mean, wherever he's playing in, is he playing at home or is it in Seattle? I'm drawing a blank. It's at home.
It's at home. So here's my take on this. And again, I'm in a tough spot, and I'm going to eventually bounce that one to you. I drafted Trey Lance in 2 leagues. He was gifted to me, and he's what we call is the $250,000 swing. 2 of the leagues that I participate in, one, the overall top prize is $250,000, another's $200,000. Yeah. I call him the wild card. But on one of those teams, I have Aaron Rodgers with him, and I wanted no part of Rodgers, and he fell to like the 13th round. I'm like, Jesus, all right, I need a backup. So already we played Rodgers week 1 because Trey was in a monsoon. So, Marty, you have to be comfortable with the fact that it was a monsoon. Right. If you played him last week in a monsoon, you're going to play him in his home opener against Seattle. So, yes, even though that's a low under-over, yes, there. Allen Robinson, Marty, if you go back to the Bucs game, and I talked about this on the show this week, if you go back to the Bucs game, Tom's first play was a throw to Julio Jones. Why did he do that? I said, welcome to the team. We're going to need you if we're going to be successful this year. And he saw a lot of targets. The genius McVay, it's Cooper Kupp in a cloud of dust. It's almost like watching Derek Carr to Adams. They get fixated here. Yeah. McVay didn't try to get Robinson active early. Marty, you plug Allen Robinson in. I guarantee you this. You're going to be looking at 5 to 7 catches. You're going to be looking at 80-plus yards. And now the question is, are you going to get the touchdown?
I'm with you. And, I mean, it's not like he was out there for 60, 70% of the snap count either. I mean, it was if not 99%, 95% he was out on the field last week, or in that opener. So I'm with you. I mean, I was all over him to have a nice day in that opener, and he obviously didn't. So I'm with you on that one as well. Go ahead.
My question to you here, I'm trying to preach here.
Okay.
Are you starting Trey Lance or Aaron Rodgers? Now, I know the history of Aaron Rodgers after a bad game. I know the history. And now it's the late night game. It's the home opener. In come the Bears. Lazard's back. And Trey Lance home opener. Who you playing?
I might. You're forcing my hand here. That's a tough one for me, obviously. But you're right. I'm just trying to pull up Rodgers' numbers last year against the Bears because I think it was one start where they had a huge outpouring later in the season, and the first one was a lower scoring game. I'm trying to pull it up right now. The second one, he had 4 touchdowns.
If my memory serves me correctly, I think I was taking my daughter to Syracuse on that. I think you guys played them on a Sunday night. Or a Thursday night or something. I thought it was a primetime game, and Bears moved the ball real well in the first half. The running back there, Montgomery looked great early. Then a couple mistakes. Rodgers was Rodgers. I get no Adams, but I apologize for interjecting. But
no.
Go ahead.
I don't know. I'm torn on that one. I think you're fine either way. I think they both put up numbers. For me, Trey Lance, I just kind of how we were talking. I'm not taking stock into what happened last week. I'd feel better if George Kittle was playing. It doesn't sound like he's playing, but I could see at the same time I could see the Packers still kind of leaning on the run game, or maybe they get to the red zone and maybe Rodgers is awesome, but this time around, maybe A.J. Dillon has a couple scores and Aaron Jones has a score on the ground, and maybe Rodgers doesn't have the touchdown. So that would be my main concern there. I think Rodgers has a nice night tonight, but maybe he's not slinging it around, getting the touchdown passes for you that you need. So I'm a little torn there. I'd probably feel better about any rushing game or rushing yard possibility with Trey Lance. So you're forcing me here, but I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible, and I'll say Trey Lance tonight. Or I guess.
And it's funny because I think outside, no Kittle is correct. Number one. But you got big play opportunities with Ayuk and Debo. Okay. I have AJ. Listen, I am only going to go as far as AJ Dillon and Ramondre Stevenson go. I'll be honest. Those were my two core. I kind of loaded up the stable up front in wide receivers. Now, I do have a DeAndre Swift who is questionable. I'm assuming he's a go. I'm praying he's a go. So I don't have a lot of I do have an ETN spot, but as the bell cows, I have a Najee Harris spot, a DeAndre Swift spot. I have one Taylor spot. So other than that, it is mostly scat packs with Dillon and Stevenson.
Yeah. Dillon, I think Dillon is still a good play week to week. And he out-touched Aaron Jones last week. I think that's probably going to flip tonight. That doesn't mean I don't think A.J. Dillon is going to have a really nice night. I was just writing my blog a little bit this morning. 15-8, I think. Dillon out-touched him if you carries and receptions. So I think that might be more of a 18-16 type split tonight with maybe Aaron Jones getting fed quite a bit more tonight. And I think maybe count on whatever you saw last week from A.J. Dillon is probably going to see what you're going to see tonight. But, I love talking about A.J. Dillon because he wants it so hard, and obviously when he's someone that it's so easy to root for, whether you're a Packers fan or a fantasy owner. So, I think he'll have a nice night tonight, and I think both Packers running backs are startable, honestly, for fantasy purposes.
Great questions, Marty. Anyone else out here watching and listening that wants to come on, just DM us any questions, and we're going to dive into the NFL slate as we speak. A decent slate. I think, again, landmines and gold mines. I'll bring it up for the last time of the season or of this week. Again, almost 6,133 people dived into the CIRCA Survivor contest. Pick one winner each week. Can't pick them again to win, not tie, to win.
Right.
And move on. A chance to win like $6 million. Of the 6,133, only 2,685 survived. And 502 of those were blessed because they had the Saints who came back from 16 of Atlanta. Go figure. So instead of 2,100, there's 2,600. I don't think you'll see the the train wrecks, but there are a handful of 10-point favorites that we'll get into. But I was looking for some, usually I get some good telltale signs overnight for some heavier money that will come in Saturday night into Sunday, giving us a telltale sign what's going on out there. Obviously, these lines have been out since Sunday night of last week. So it's like going to the dump on Monday, leaving a 20-pound turkey, okay, fully loaded, going back there Sunday morning, and you're seeing just the carcass because that's what's left. That's what these numbers have been picked through. And it's our job to say, hey, there's some numbers here that have moved because of injury, but most of it has been picked through by the public, the degens, and the sharps. So full stage. I'm just looking for any kind of move. There's been some movement on the Commanders. Detroit basically opened up a 1.5. It's at a pick at a few shops. Detroit -1 there. Indianapolis opened up at 4.5. Now a flat 3 at Jacksonville. The return of the crime scene. Indy needed to just win last year to get into the playoffs, and Wentz puked all over himself there. No Kamara. Tampa's still staying at 2.5. They were 2.5 at Dallas, easy win. And this is the shop of horrors for Tom. And they are still 2.5-point favorites there. Another game that I've been eyeing all week. The Giants opened up 1.5. Now a pick at most shops against the Panthers there. That's the same exact setup as last week where Carolina was 2-point favorites against the Browns. So you know where my eyes are there. Pat's a solid 3 now against the Steelers. Let me just go here. San Fran back to 9 against the Seahawks. Rams 10 against the Falcons. Denver a solid 10 against the Texans. The Raiders back to 5.5 against the Cardinals, and your Packers a solid 10 against the Bears in the late night.
Plenty to pick through, my friend. How about let's start with that Indy and Jacksonville game, the 3 right there. I don't have a play on this one, but I mean, you mentioned last year, but also, how many different quarterbacks, how many different iterations of this Colts team over the last decade or so, or last 5-6 years have gone into Jacksonville and fell flat on their face. Is this one obvious, or is this one kind of becoming the kind of a reverse of that? And now we've been talking about it for the general public's been talking about it for so long that maybe the Colts are finally the right side at this number that we're seeing. I'm probably going to stay far away from it, but any interest either way in that one, or is it just too fishy for you?
All week I've been on the Jags. I love the Jags at 4.5. I love the Jags at 4. I liked the Jags at 3.5. I'm out on this game now. I think the Jags have become that public trendy dog. I have an initial computer model opening team totals at 25.5 for Indy, 21 for Jacksonville. Now you got a Indy at 23.5 juiced under 120, and you got a Jacksonville 20.5 juice under 130. I'm out on this game. I am. I think Jacksonville's the public trendy dog. I think Indy finds a way to win by 4, 5, 6 or more. Or they could just finally take out their, they slept walk and were fortunate for a tie. Now, listen, would I be shocked if Jacksonville won? I really wouldn't. Indy gets their home opener next week. They come back 1-1. I mean, they're still okay. Tennessee's got to go to Buffalo. So most likely they're not going to win there. So Tennessee's going to be 0-2. Right. So I'm going to stay away.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was just curious what your thoughts were on that one. I am. It's a firm stay away from me as well. Let's go into that Washington-Detroit game, though, because you mentioned it, the line's moving a little bit. I think you and I talked about a little bit that, it seems that the general public is valuing Detroit's loss to Philly more than they're valuing the Washington win against the Jacksonville team. And I actually was just talking to one of my close buddies who watches and bets on football and kind of confirmed exactly that. And so I'm going on the other side. I'm going with Washington in this game here to take down the Lions here in Detroit. Are you with me, or are you on the other side of this one?
No, I loved Washington all week. I did. I was the only one in my local survivor pool to have the Commanders last week. Everyone else got destroyed on those big favorites. I took the leap of faith in the Commanders. Wentz couldn't have played any worse. And yet he tried to give that game away 2, 3, 4 times. Listen, I like the Lions. I like their offense.
Mm-hmm.
Swift, questionable. I'm assuming he's playing. I like I think they got some weapons on the outside. I'm a big St. Brown fan. Chark, Jameson Williams will be coming back in the next month. I like where they're going. They were part of the Hard Knocks. They haven't been favored in forever. I said jokingly on the show earlier this week, since, Herman Moore and Scott Mitchell and Barry Sanders back then. I've been on the Commanders the whole time. I'm sticking with the Commanders.
I like it. I was already leaning that way, and then like I said, it's a smart football friend by every stretch of the measure. But I told him, he asked me what some of my favorites were, and that was one of my plays that I gave him, and he was on the other side and mentioned last week's game against the Eagles. So that's where my heart is lying in that one. I don't have a play on this next one. Curious where your thought is. Miami and Baltimore, I want to say this one's been, for the most part, 3.5, 4 all week, right? Or am I wrong about that?
No, it's funny because I thought the line opened low at 3.5. It stuck at 3.5 the whole time. Still 3.5, stuck on 44. And Riley, I was all week, I was like, wow, that's a lot of respect to Miami, I thought, because I remember a handful of years ago, Lamar opened up in Miami and he put up like a 50 burger. I think
it was his MVP year, right? It was
the
start of his MVP year, right? Yeah.
Correct. And now what I have learned throughout the week talking to people is that Miami is the sharp side. Now, does it land on 3, 2, or 1? There, but then I talked to some other people. It's like you take in so much information. Miami, after wins against the Pats, falls flat on their face. They put so much effort into beating the Patriots, they fall flat on their face. I am going to stay away from this game. This game really intrigues me because Baltimore goes to the Patriots next week. The look-ahead line is Baltimore -3. Last year, that was the Sunday night monsoon game, and the Patriots were gifted a win there, especially on that last drive. I mean, it was coming down in buckets like that Chicago-San Fran game last week. So initial thought, I thought it was light. I'm hearing the sharp side is the Dolphins.
Okay. To add in, Miami hosts Buffalo next Sunday as well. Another divisional game there. I am out on this game. The 3.5 scares me away. I could see the Ravens winning by 3. I don't know. I'm a believer in the Ravens this year. I'm still trying to figure out where my thoughts are with the Dolphins. I think that's where I am because I like what a lot of what they're doing. I think Tua can be successful. I'm not a huge Tua guy, so I'm still. This is a one that I'm interested to watch and see how this one plays out. But I'm staying away for now. Going to that Tampa and the Saints game, some of the injuries are concerning to me, but I've been interested in the Saints all week. It seems like it's people like us or Eddie Sharps or anyone as kind of on the Saints side of things, and the general public is all over Tampa on this one. I'm taking the Saints. I believe in the Kamara injury concerns me obviously, but I'm believing in the Saints defense up against this Tampa Bay offense because you look at what Tampa's offense, they're a little banged up right now as well. I know Mike Evans is questionable today, so I'm leaning towards the Saints in this one, and I've got some. I've already got a play on the Saints in this one, so it's not a lean; it's a firm. I'm believing in the Saints today. What about you? Are you thinking it continues the way it's gone the last couple of years, or you think that Bucks might pull out of it today?
I at the last minute jumped on the Bucks on Sunday. I was like, all right, guys, I don't know how they're favored by. They were 1.5, got pushed to 2.5. I don't know how, I don't know why, but I'll figure it out and I'll follow you. And they opened up 2.5 here in the House of Horrors. Now, when I started last week, I had Atlanta beating the Saints, and we were 30 seconds away. We were winning that game for 59 minutes and 30 seconds. Saints come all the way back. So my thought process going into this game, into last week, was the Saints were going to come back to their home opener 0-1 the Bucks were going to come 1-0, and I was all in on the Saints. This is the house of horrors. Tom doesn't play well here. It was like when he was with the Patriots. He never played well in South Beach. We always said he had a little second home, and Giselle was somewhere else, and he was. I will tell you this. We talked about public trendy dogs. The Saints are it. Now, I'm not saying the Saints are the wrong side. I am not saying that. But I just think come hell or high water, the Bucks are going to find another way to muscle this through and win this one. So they're going to start the season 2-0 with 2 real good road wins. Now, it's kind of funny, though. I'll just say this. The Kamara news has been out for a little while now. That line hasn't moved to 3 either. So a little leery there. So here's what I would suggest. Anyone that wants to take the Saints today, do me a favor, buy the half point, take it up to a field goal. If they lose, hopefully they lose by 3, 2, or 1.
Okay. No, I hear you. I don't love it as much as I did earlier on the week by any means, but I'll stick with my Saints pick here. But it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, the offensive injuries. Jameis Winston's not even 100% as well. So, I've got some thoughts there, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that one goes. I'll kick it to you on this one. New England and Pittsburgh. This line was a lot of people not sure what to make of this one as far as what I've seen here. Is it my thoughts on this one is why maybe New England's getting the respect. I kind of feel like this Patriots defense, it's not a top 10 defense. I know you are fully aware of that. The stretch they had last year really put some rose-colored glasses for a lot of people on this defense. I still think schematically, though, up against a Mitch Trubisky-led offense, that's one of these quarterbacks that I think Bill Belichick and the Patriots could absolutely scheme up for and dominate, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. I have not made a play here, but I don't know. I believe in the Patriots defense up against the Steeler offense today. Where are you at with this one?
We asked all week, especially the start of the week, why were the Patriots 1.5 point favorites? I guess if you dig deep, I mean, the Steelers won because of luck. Think about it.
Yeah.
5 turnovers by the Bengals, yet they were kicking an extra point to win the game. Right. Their offense was putrid. I mean, bad. It opened at 1.5, looking for Steeler money. They never got it. It went to 2, 2.5. It's now a flat 3. I don't know now. I haven't heard anyone talking about the Steelers. I think that line at 1.5 and stayed at 1.5, now pushed to 3. Everyone, like I did last week with the Dallas, after scratching their head in the Bucks, saying, why are the Bucks favored? Okay, it's Tom, primetime. I think everyone now, I'm just going to say it this way. I think the whole world's on the Pats right now. I really do. I think Vegas has ingrained it in their heads that the Pats are the right side. And I was like, all right, you hit me with a dummy stick last week. I'm taking the Pats. I'm staying away. But I'm not saying, we talk about public trendy dogs. Mm-hmm. I think now the Patriots are the public trendy favorite.
Right. No, and it bears mentioning because when you have those teams that are middle of the pack or bottom half of the league that become that, it is not the same as when someone like the Ravens or the Packers or someone like that are a public trendy favorite, right? It's not quite the same thing. And this is such a week 1 into week 2 is such an overreaction week. I also don't know how much of what you're talking about is the TJ Watt news. Is everyone just flocking to New England because of that news, which I think the Steelers defense, obviously they're a lot better with TJ Watt, but I think they'll still be fine in that respect. So I don't know. This one for me, I am not much of a totals guy. There are certain times in football where I feel good about a total. Not saying I do here. In my head, it feels like this one should be a 13-14 type finishing game or 17-13 where both defenses have a ton of success. But I'm with you. I'm leaving this one off my desk here.
No, I agree. And the more you think about it, the more you peel the onions back. I mean, listen, my computer model, 20.5 juiced under for the Pats team total. Pittsburgh, 19.5 juiced over, which made no sense. Currently, New England 21.5, juiced under 120. Pittsburgh 18.5. It's a flat 18.5. So we went from a 19.5 over to an 18.5. I'm just going to say right now, they're telling you the final score is 21-17, Pats. That's what they're telling you the final score is.
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm staying away from it, but yeah, it's interesting there. I'm interested to hear, you kind of mentioned it earlier in the show. I'm interested in your Carolina and the Giants thoughts on this one. Obviously, Carolina gets the close loss last week. The Giants get the close win, the spirited win over the Titans, the second half comeback there. Where are your thoughts lying with this one as far as Carolina going into New York here?
I told you, I thought if you go back to last week, Carolina 1.5-point favorites against the Browns. It was the revenge tour for Baker Mayfield, a Cleveland Browns team that was 1-16 the last 17 straight up on opening days.
Right.
Yet it went to a pick'em. Giants, nothing the first half, strong second half, and a 2-point conversion, steal and win in Tennessee. Come home, the fans, the world's Barkley's back. Danny Dimes. I mean, it's the Giants, and opened up 1.5-point favorites. Carolina's the side there.
Yeah. No, I was honestly waiting for that type of confirmation. This was one because I've been a believer in the Giants for the most part. I had them as the on the spread last week. But yeah, this falls into what I've been talking about as far as week 2 being one of my favorite overreaction weeks. This one falls right into that category. There's no way that it can't. But I've left it off. I was waiting for some type of confirmation from someone like you, so I might be interested in that as well. And I mean, you talk about one of my favorite overreaction plays from last year in week 2. Carolina took down the Saints in week 2 after I think Carolina might have even won a close, ugly game, kind of like last week against even a lesser. I think it was the Jets last year in week 1, and then the Saints dominate the Packers in week 1, and then it's Saints minus 3.5 in Carolina, and everyone's all over the Saints. That one was one of my favorite picks of the entire season. Carolina over here as myself as well. So it does feel like that one, not quite the same situation, but I'm with you. This one stunk if you're looking at the Giants in this one.
No, I agree. And listen, if someone wants to back the Giants and believe, I get it. Yeah. Why don't we take a look at the NFC least right now? And okay, you got Washington 1-0 going to Detroit. It's a coin flip. They could come back 2-0 or 1-1. You got Dallas 0-1 against the AFC champs Bengals. No Dak for at least a month. 7-point underdog. So most likely they're going to start 0-2. Okay. And now you take a look at the Eagles' amazing performance offensively, not defensively, offensively at the Lions. And they win. And now they opened up only 1.5-point favorites against the Vikings, now 2-point favorites on Monday night. So they got a coin flip to either be 1-1 or 2-0. And if you want a hint, guys, it's a Minnesota number, by the way. So the fact of the matter here is the Giants could do something they haven't done in a long time. Go to 2-0 and be atop of the AFC East. The NFC East. I'm just telling you guys, it's a Carolina number. That's all.
Yep, they got. What's that? Sorry, was it the last one?
And I think Carolina wins.
Okay. I think I'm with you. They get Giants host Dallas on Monday night next week, and then host the Bears after that before traveling to London with my Packers October 9th. So I think they'll be 3-1 after 4 weeks, if you ask me. Honestly, at least looking at that from this perspective for this. But yeah, I mean maybe they'll go 4-0 and we're wrong about this one, but I'm with you 100% on this one. I think there's only one more in the noon slate. The Jets at Cleveland. Cleveland minus 6.5. Are we thinking, what was it, 6.5, 7 for the Jets last week against Baltimore, and they get smoked, obviously. I don't have a play on this one. Are we thinking a better defensive performance from the Jets that keeps this one close? Is that why maybe this line's where it is? Obviously, Joe Flacco threw, I don't know how many, 50 or so passes, and it only led to about 3 points there, but 9 points. I'm not giving them enough credit there. But any thoughts on this one? Do you think this is another false line and the Jets are going to get smoked again, or do you think they have a better chance this week covering?
Year after year after year after year in all these polls that I do, I find a way to take the Jets, and I just get shit on and shit on. It's like back in the Lions.
Yeah.
I was born at night, not last night. Okay, and so when I tell you that the Jets were 7, 6.5, 6 against the Ravens with Flacco, no Zach Wilson, and they just got stomped, right?
Yeah.
So I told you my love affair for the Falcons last week. Now we hit 2 out of 3 of our parlays because we ended up taking them up to 7 on the parlays. We lose on the plus 200 on the money line. I'm going to ask you a question. You and I have done a lot of shows this week. You have done a lot of work on social media this week. How many people have you seen or heard on social media talk about the Jets?
I can count on one hand or maybe 0 hands because I don't know that I've seen a single person talking about the Jets at all this week. I don't know.
Okay. And Cleveland's coming off an amazing win at Carolina. Here's question number 2. How come that number didn't open up at 8, 7.5, 7? How come it's been stuck on 6 all week?
I think I'm with you, Jeff. At the total 38.5, that as far as maybe a defensive performance from the Jeff, I think I'm with you as far as where you're heading to on this one. For a lot of people, Joe Flacco isn't doing it for them anymore, but obviously, something's going on here. I'm with you 100%.
It stinks to whole heaven. And the more I talk about it, again, everyone's got, there's a bunch of games that you can use on your survivor pool, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of people flocking to the Browns. Now, hold on. I'm going to just check one thing here. Give me 1 second here, Riley.
But in addition to that, how many games do we have around this type of spread last week with teams that you figured should be bigger favorites, and I think 80% of them either failed to cover or lost outright as far as last week in these types of spreads.
So CIRCA opens up Cleveland minus 280 on the money line.
Yep.
They dropped them to 266. South Point still got them at 290. There's some 255s. Jets were plus 230 to start the week. There's still plus 230. There's a 225, 245. The model has this at 23-17. Here's the problem. If I told you, and you see me smiling, smirking, my early best plays are Washington, Carolina, and the Jets. Now, just think about that for a second. The 3 dregs of the NFL. So you're going to sit there at 420 with no action, right? And because you played the 3 1 o'clock games. Not that I like to do that, but my point is, you're going to say to yourself, oh my God, the stenches and cesspools of the NFL, the dregs, 3 road teams, 2 of them are pick 'em or getting 1, and now you're taking the who? What?
I'm not hating on you at all for it, my friend. Especially in this week 2, week 3 range here. It's like I said, I've talked about it for a few weeks. It's one of my favorite 2-week stretch of the entire NFL season because of things like this, where everyone thinks that these teams are horrible or anything like that, or the opposite side is fantastic. And maybe they might need to be in either of those categories, but I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I wish I would have had better. You turned me on to this one to a decent degree. I wish I had better antenna for this one because it's still. You're right. If Flacco and the Jets, it's a hard pill to swallow. It's a little less enticing for a lot of people, but this is going to be a different story. Jets defense against the Browns offense is going to be different than trying to. Obviously, it's a good running game, but it's not. Jacoby Brissett is not Lamar Jackson, so I think this one's going to be a lower scoring game, and I'm with you. I think the Jets can keep this one close, and maybe they actually have some offensive success. We'll see there, but I think I'm with you on this one 100% here.
Oh, the stench! Woo!
I think, okay, so I might have missed, or no, I think that's it for the nude slate. And then, I don't really have, there's only one I shouldn't say that. These afternoon games aren't as enticing to me, but maybe that'll change a little bit here. Atlanta and the Rams. I was hoping that the Rams would win last Thursday night because I think this was 13.5, and if the Rams had won, then maybe this one would probably have gone up over 14, and maybe we would have some solid value with the Falcons there. But Falcons keep it close last week. Rams lose. Now it's 10. Are you leaning either side, or you think that's a pretty accurate number there?
Suicide, survivor pools. I mean, the Rams had to sit in their shit now since that Thursday. Yeah. It's been 7-10 days. The Falcons, pretty damn impressive, but they did what the Falcons usually do, find a way to lose.
Right.
This has been stuck on 10. I expect the Rams to win. The model has it at 30-17, which is your 13. Rams team total now 28.5 under, minus 125. And as we speak, and don't tell anyone that no one listens, the Falcons team total has now gone to 17.5, juiced over, minus 120.
Interesting.
It is kind of comical. I mean, you expect the Rams to win. You expect the Rams to dominate. I don't know if you get a blase look at them and they're like, they can't, they were up for the Bills. They played a shitty first half and were fortunate enough to be 13-13. Okay.
Right.
They were gifted. Right. And then they got outscored 21-0. So I want to see a couple things. Is Cam Akers healthy? Number one.
Right.
Number two, does McVay get Robinson involved? Because I think that would be your number 1 and 2 to do. Defensively, stop the run, put some pressure on Mariota. He's going to be able to scramble. As you said, I think the Rams win. Take them in your survivor pool. Yeah. To go to the window with them, I'm going to pass.
Yeah, I was going to be like I was kind of basically saying if this was up over 2 touchdowns, I would have been interested in Atlanta. But right here, I think it could land right around 10. And yeah, I think maybe the Rams would be one of my, if I was in a survivor, that I think they win this one. But it was week 1, and I don't want to overreact. But the Falcons showed more competence and fight than I was expecting them to in that week 1. So we'll move on from that one. But next one, Seattle and San Francisco. I know a lot of people on San Francisco after the overreaction of losing to the Bears last week. Obviously, it was a monsoon, so despite that, people still think Seattle might be a side. They obviously won on Monday night. If I'm going anywhere, I might be interested in the Niners, but I don't. I could see this one landing 7 or 10 in favor of the Niners, but I guess I'll lean towards the Niners laying the points. But I'm staying out of this one. What about you?
Looking again, a good window for us to figure out where the market's going is I enjoy looking at the team totals. I think you get a fair look at what's going on here. And when I look at the team totals, the model was 27.5 juice under to the 120 on San Fran and 14.5 on Seattle. So now I go to the actual numbers and it's 24.5 juiced over for San Fran and it's 14.5 still for Seattle. Like Toledo, like South Carolina. Again, when people see the 14.5 and Seattle, short week because they played on Monday night. San Fran pissed off. They played in a monsoon, their home opener. People are going to flock to the window and say Seattle doesn't get over 14.5. So you can keep them to 14, 13, 12, 10, whatever the number is. It's kind of telling me Gino and company might get to 17 today, which would be a shocker. So if they get to 17, San Fran needs to get to 28 or higher. So initially all week, I thought this was a perfect layup spot for Trey Lance to get going. Ayuk, Debo. Don't forget Mitchell out 4 to 6 weeks. So is it Jeff Wilson? Is it the rookie Price? Debo will touch the ball 5, 6, 7 times as well running here. I was on the Niners. I am treading lightly. Again, survivor, suicide pool. I don't have a problem with the Niners to run to the window and bet them at minus 10, 9.5, whatever. Where are we at now? We're at a solid 9. I'm going to stay away. I some God reason, I think this lands on 7.
Okay. No, that's kind of where I'm at. It would not I think I would be pretty surprised to see the Niners go to 0-2. But I would not be surprised to see Seattle fight in this one again here. I mean, you look back, some of these NFC West matchups between some of these teams have stayed pretty true to some of these trends. I mean, the Seahawks have won each of the last 4 games. Obviously, that's been it's Russell Wilson as compared to Geno Smith. But sometimes these coaching staffs just have a good sense of how to game plan for these teams. So, not saying the Seahawks win, but I'm with you. I think we're on the same page there. I would not shock me if this one was a 7-10 range win for the Niners, and it's more of a toss-up on the spread there. So, let's see. Bengals at the Cowboys. We talked about a little bit. Bengals -7. I'm not taking the Cowboys. I'm not taking the Bengals. I'm probably not doing much out of this one. What I have been kind of keying in on for the Bengals and what I plan to do for the rest of the season, unless I love it in the pre-flop pre-game, not a huge live better, but this Bengals team, going back to the start of last season, defensively and just overall, defensively especially, really, really solid with second-half adjustments. So if this one is close at halftime, tied by some measure, or God forbid Dallas is beating the Bengals, which would shock a lot of people, but they could have a really spirited first-half performance. I might be interested in taking the Bengals on the second half if it's better than this 7 number right here. So probably not going to do that, but that's where I would go. I'm not playing anything pregame here. What about you?
It's kind of funny. 26, 16 and a half, 2016 total and 16 and a half for Dallas. That's the model. Right now, Cincinnati 24 and a half juiced over -120. Dallas at 16 and a half. And I usually don't see that 16 and a half number. I have zero confidence in the quarterback with the Dallas. I do know this number got to 7.5 and immediately went to 7. So the sharps will take the 7.5 with Dallas. The good thing about this for Dallas is it's week 1 of the backup QB. So there's not a lot of tape on him. Yes, they had tape from last year or whenever it is. But again, this isn't like week 2, 3, 4 of his till dad comes back. So a Cincinnati team, don't forget, that played not just 60 minutes, they played an OT as well. Right. Now travels to Dallas. Dallas 0-1, a sense of urgency not to be 0-2. The same with the Bengals. I think the Bengals win. Am I running to the window to play this game? No, I'm not.
No. I'm going to be interested to see what the score is. If Dallas is winning or it's tied, I might be taking the Bengals in the second half, but it'll be obviously a wait and see what happens. If the Bengals are up by 10 and the line is -20 in the second half, then no, I'm going to leave that one on the desk. But I like the Bengals in the second half of these games in a lot of senses here. So a couple more. One I'm really interested in. We'll get this one out of the way unless you've got some strong thoughts. Houston and Denver. Expect Denver to bounce back with a win here. But any thoughts on a play on either side or any total in that one?
28.5, 17, 27.5 over 135. Houston 16.5 over 125. Everyone expects this is a huge bounce back. Russ, they should have went for it instead of lining up for that 64-yarder or whatever it was. Comically, on one of the shows I did yesterday, I said they didn't have Jason Elam back there, so Russ probably should have got the ball in his hands there. Everyone expects a bounce back. Scotty Webb here expects a blowout win. I did use Denver in my survivor pool this week. I expect them to win. Am I running to the window? No, but I will give you a tidbit here. Just let me check this one out for everyone here. Because if the number is 6.5, it's a go number. So let's see what we got here. Looking for 6.5. Looking for 6.5. All right. I'll give Denver first half -6.5. It opened at 6. It did go to 7. Now back to 6.5. So my play in this game is Denver -6.5 first half.
Okay. I'm with you at all. Or I'm with you on that one. I can totally see it. Houston week 1 or Houston against Colts, probably more emphasis on that game as well. They've got Chicago next week. Maybe they'll put a fight up against the Bears. We'll see. But yeah, I'm with you. I like that one. I could see a nice. I think it's. I mean, the place is going to be rocking at least in the first half there, especially, and obviously if they get up a little bit, maybe they'll cruise in that second half. So I'm with you on that one. Last one before the night game. A lot of people have been talking about this one: Arizona and the Raiders. 5.5. Can you talk about what you think this line is doing here? Is this lack of respect to the Cardinals, or is this overreaction based off what we just saw, a terrible performance from the Cardinals? Which of the two do you think it is?
It's funny you say that because go back to week 1. Kansas City was favored by 3.5 or 4 for a long time.
Yeah.
These games came out in June, these
Right.
lines. Then finally, they couldn't get any money on Arizona
Right.
against the Chiefs. They couldn't get it, and the game became stale. They pushed it to 6.5. We know the results. Mahomes and company go box to wire. So now the actual line on this game was 3.5. It did open around 4, and then a big correction to 6. Now, I'll tell you what happened is once it went to 6, the sharps came pounding in. Says, you're going to give me Arizona +6 in Vegas? Thank you. So this Arizona team started out 7-1, 8-1 last year before Hopkins and Murray got hurt. And I've said this all week. I'll say it one more time. What was the most eye-opening with me with Arizona last year's start is how well they performed on the road. They opened up last year in Tennessee, 3.5-point underdogs, box to wire. They come home and win. They won some big games early in the year on the road. Now, I've been down on Arizona all this year. I will be down on them. I think it's going to be a bad year. But your question was spot on. Is it an overreaction? I'm not in on McDaniel. You know that. And I tell you right now, if Renfro isn't 6 or 7 for 89 today in a touch, there ought to be an investigation because get this damn lockjaw off with Adams. I knew that would be a problem. I better not see it here. But I despise McDaniels. Is it an overreaction? I like the number at 4. I'm not buying either side. If you wanted to go to the window and take Arizona, I'd say if you got it at 6.5, buy the hook to 7. You'll know early, guys. I'm not an in-game guy, but you'll know early if they came to play or not, because if they came to play, they're going to score in early and often. Their defense is putrid right now. Their defense. So I'm not buying the fact that the Raiders can't go 0-2 here, by the way. I am not. Yeah, the Chargers are a good team.
Yeah.
Okay, I get that part. But this isn't just now plug and play. It's an automatic 1-1 here.
No, I'm 100%. I think we're on the same page for the most part here. I'm staying far away from it because I kind of want to see, too. I wouldn't be surprised if we've got to move up Cliff Kingsbury up our old first coach to be fired board a little bit here. If this one gets ugly, I'm a little concerned about the trust between him and Murray right now. I mean, the preseason narrative is obviously the contract. That's one thing. But then the Murray calling plays in the fourth quarter of those preseason games to get a sense of how hard it actually is. I don't know. I think there might be a problem from that sense, so I would like to see if there is more of a problem there. And yeah, I wasn't sure. I couldn't tell if this was just an overreaction because of how bad they were last week, but I'm going to stay away from it. I'm really interested to watch this one, but if it's, I mean, what's it going to take for him to be in that on that hot seat? If this one's another similar performance last week where it's 40-20 or something like that, how hot does the seat get after 2 weeks?
Well, again, they were successful when Chandler Jones was on one side and Watt was on the other.
Yeah.
Now, Jones has left the building. Watt's back. Their defense was predicated on pressure to the quarterback. How do you beat Derek Carr? He's like Tom Brady. You put pressure on him, and he'll just dump that ball away. He does not like pressure. Get him off his spots. Another bad blowout win, let's say 31-13. There will be rumblings. There will be rumblings.
Yeah. I think it was Mr. Lucky that had us Cliff Kingsbury when we were talking about first coach fired. So I could see it for sure. One more game, few injury updates though. Julio Jones, Godwin, and left tackle Donovan Mitchell are officially out for the Bucs today. As well as Kamara, we already knew that. Evans, Mike Evans, Russell Gage, Fournette, Tristan Wirfs, Rashad Perryman, and Mark Ingram are all active in that game.
Hold it. So Julio's out?
Julio with the
What
knee
a
injury.
shocker, huh? He made it through week 1 and he's out on week 2. What a shocker.
That's going to be, so you get Evans is in, and he's obviously had a ton of hamstring injuries over the last couple of years. But anyways, one more game, and then we're all set for Sunday NFL action.
Look up and make sure DeAndre Swift is starting for me.
Yeah, I could do that. Let's see. Here, I'll just give a Google search here. I haven't seen anything. Let's see. DeAndre Swift. Taron Armstrong for the Dolphins is active. DeAndre Swift 2 hours ago plans to play, but ankle injury could limit him, is what I see here.
Suck it up, DeAndre.
They don't want to go 0-2. They need. I do like. If he's not though, I'm a big. Maybe I'm a homer because he was with the Packers. But Jamal Williams, he's tough and he's a good receiving back. So especially PPR. I mean, maybe he's already on your radar. But if he can't go, give me some Jamal Williams action there for sure.
True story is, you usually, if you grab a running back in the first round, you make sure you get his handcuff. And last year when we had Swift, we had Jamal Williams. This year, my partner goes, hey, if we're going to get Jamal Williams, we got to get him this round. I'm like, no, I believe in Swift. He's not going to get hurt. So instead of Jamal Williams, I took Jameson Williams and said, we'll have someone in the second half of the year. And I could get egg on my face real quick on this one.
Okay, I get the officially active, so we'll see if he's limited. I just got another officially active today, so we'll see if he's limited or not. But he's obviously, if he's getting the ball, he's pretty explosive. So I assume he's going to be out there and looking solid. But one more game, my neck of the woods. It'll be up in Green Bay, so not technically my neck of the woods, but Bears Pack -10 right now, as you mentioned. I saw this morning it was up actually on FanDuel. Still, it's they've got it 10.5 here, so not letting you get that 10 number there. But I have. Obviously I'm a homer, but there's spots where I'll pump the brakes and not touch the Packers on the spread, like last week and at times last year. And then there's times where I feel pretty comfortable. I am interested in them today, -10. I caught them at -9.5. I do like the Packers tonight. Feels eerily similar to the week 1 and week 2 stretch last year where they get smoked by the Saints. Last year, they turned around Monday Night Football, I believe it was, against the Lions in Green Bay, and it was an 11.5 point spread or something along those lines. Now you get the Bears coming off of a win on Sunday night here. So I think the Packers will look a lot better tonight. Maybe there's going to be times like last year where it's a closer game, but at the end of the day, I think the Packers will push themselves out of this one, and I got them winning by 2 scores here. 27-13 is my prediction here. Any thoughts from you on this one here?
I like the Denver game. I'll go same thing here. I'll take Green Bay first half minus the 6 or 6.5. And by the way, that Denver first half minus 6.5, there are some 6 out there too. When you're playing alternate lines, when you're playing team totals, when you're playing first halves, a lot of the shops will limit your action. And I was talking to someone about that, and they're looking at me like, well, they're there to take bets. What do you mean by that? Well, very simply, let's just say I'm a dime better. I'm $1,000 player. And some of my shops, when I go in to play the first half, so when I go to play in the team totals, they cut your limits in half. So when they can put a nickel here, nickel there, nickel there. So, but you can't buy hooks on first half plays like you can on full games.
Right.
They don't care about the full games because it's very simple, people. Figure this one out. If there's $1 million on Green Bay and there's $1 million on the Bears, they don't give a rat's ass who wins the game because they just made $100,000 in their 10 cents of juice. Mm-hmm. But when you're doing team totals, you're doing first halves, and you're doing props, they don't get that two-way action.
Right.
So just don't bitch, yell, scream, complain, and whine. Okay. Take what you can get and move on.
Yep. 100%. I will be having my weekly extra Cheddar Packers blog coming out. This one, whenever it's Sunday night, I don't get a head start on it. So this one will come out. If not before noon, it'll come out or at noon my time. It'll come out here while the games are going. So I'll give the sneak peek, though. I've got some Aaron Jones action. I got his receiving total over this time around, and I've got his longest rush over 14.5. I think they're going to be feeding him the ball a little bit here today. So that is where I'm headed with those, and maybe one more after that. But we'll see. I've got some Aaron Jones action, though, as far as props out of that game there.
Well, I don't want to curse you because I'm an A.J. Dillon owner, so I'll stay away from there. I'll
Fair
throw
enough.
out 2 late night props, and these are swings, guys, swings. I'll go with an anytime TD from 2 guys from the Bears. How's that? Darnell Mooney. And someone that needs to get off the map that was 0 for last week, I would take a strong look at his Cole Kmet, the tight end from the Bears there. So take a look at him. But we started the show with what was my prop of the day?
Mo Alley Cox.
Mo Alley Cox plus 470. That is my real prop, sneak prop of the day. So keep an eye on that one too. And from the guys watching the Rams again, don't be shy. Listen, if you drafted the team in August and September, stick with your team. If you have some questions, and concerns, like I talked about Trey Lance and Rodgers, CeeDee Lamb versus Paris Campbell. Now, in no way in shape, hell, or form would you ever say you're starting Paris Campbell over CeeDee Lamb. Well, when Dak's not there and Pittman and Pierce aren't there, it does bring up that question.
Right.
So it's kind of comical that we're having these questions, but that's part of the game.
Yep, certainly is. And I'm juiced up for it. We've had some good fantasy football questions. Nice mix of fantasy and obviously breaking these lines down. So I think it was a successful morning show here, my friend.
Oh, it was a hell of a show. Shit, I don't remember the last time you and I went almost an hour and 20 minutes. But again, it was a great show. We covered a lot. And for you, you get to enjoy the day and the afternoon and then know that your Packers are going to be ready for you tonight. Go ahead.
I tweeted it out. I know you don't watch a ton of TV shows, but Game of Thrones spinoff has been dominating Sunday nights for a lot of people. And when I tell you, my girlfriend looked like she was going to cry when I told her that we can't watch the show tonight because Packers and Bears are on. I don't know that I've ever come close to making her actually cry from any type of news like that. So I had to break the tough news about that one early this morning.
Well, can't you get an iPad and she can stream that as you're watching the Bears and Packers?
But I'm a huge fan of it too, so I don't need any spoilers. If she wants to go in the other room and lock herself away, then maybe. But I like to watch it too on the big screen. So maybe we'll watch it later tonight. You know what I mean?
Tomorrow we'll do a closing bell, probably around 4:00. What we'll do is we'll do a recap of Sunday. We'll get into 2 Monday night games. And we'll get back into some baseball. Southside Riley here on the stretch drive for, I think, 2 weeks and 2 days. I think that's what's left. I think it goes to October 5th, if I'm not mistaken. So the Guardians look tough right now. They look tough. I said this to Scotty Webb on Saturday, and I'm just going to say this to you. We know if you let Tony La Russa go at the All-Star break, you wouldn't have this problem. We get that part of it. Yeah. But you want your second biggest problem, I told Scotty, the inconsistency and the piss poor Giolito. I think that was your second fault.
That one was, and then, Lance Lynn was bad for a while. He's been fantastic the last month and a half or so. He obviously was hurt and then, banged up a little bit. But you're absolutely right. He's been so damn inconsistent. That's been a huge issue. Joe Kelly finally put his damn glasses on and looks like an all-star reliever again. His ERA was north of 7 for most of the year. So, our bullpen wasn't as good as it was supposed to be. That didn't help us either. But, that and not hitting the long ball up until about August 30th is some of the main issues there for sure.
And looking at Tito versus La Russa, the edge is so stupid. It's not even funny here. Looking at Bieber as rounded into playoff Bieber form. And Sticks McKenzie has had a great year for them. And we haven't even talked about the two guys that have been on the DL the last 2.5 weeks. One because he punched the mound, and one because he got hurt. Savali and the other kid. So
Yeah.
they don't hit the long ball, but it's funny how they can first and third you to death.
I know. Just the timely hitting, which we have not had at all this point in the era throughout the entire season, just leaving guys stranded. So, yeah, it's if things go well today and tomorrow, hopefully we're 3 games out by some stretch of a miracle, going into 3-game series with them here this week. I've got Tuesday night ticket. Last I checked, it was Cease on Tuesday night. So, need a win today. With we had to spot start Vince Velasquez because Johnny Cueto's got some type of illness, so we'll see what happens today. We've flirting a little too much with the Detroit Tigers when we need to pound the hell out of them coming into a Cleveland series this week. So I'm shreds of optimism are still here, but I'm not getting not getting my hopes up too high at this point, my friend.
Well, we can't thank you enough. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one, the only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed Sunday. Listen, guys, it's family day. The ECSI VIPs know the week is complete. We will take our swing at our action parlay. We are 6-3 this week. And so Envelope Monday will be less than 12.5 hours away, our 3rd in a row. So we're super stoked here. I don't know if we can duplicate the last 2 Sundays, 20 units and about 9 units. So we'll see what we got cooking in that parlay. It looks like a lot of 1 o'clock games, so be prepared. So myself and Riley will be back tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Join us. Otherwise, good luck in your survivor pools, your fantasy pools. Have a day.